Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. We are here because we want to improve our math skill. Today is our day number 20. Day number 20. Let's see what we have today. We are given two quantities in the two columns. Column A, column B, x plus 5 and x plus 5 versus x squared plus 25. And the question simply is, which quantity is bigger? These questions are called quantitative comparisons, and they appear in the GRE test. But as I've told you before, if you're preparing for GMAT or the SAT, don't just sit there and say, why should I worry about these questions? They don't appear on my exam. They're not going to appear on my exam. Yes, that is true. If you're preparing for SAT or GMAT, you're not going to see quantitative comparison question, but you are going to see the concepts and the math that is involved in this question in your exam. So the purpose is to improve your math skill. Don't worry about particular type of questions. Just learn, get something out of it. Just exercise your brain. So these are good questions to expand your horizon, to make you think in a broader sense. So which quantity is bigger? Enough of the talk. Pause the video at this point if you have to, and do your work, whatever it is. And when you have the answer, resume the video. Alright. The most popular wrong answer here is going to be the most popular wrong answer. And of course, whenever somebody starts out with most popular, obviously you know they're talking about the wrong answer, because there is no such thing as a most popular right answer, because there is only one right answer. The most popular wrong answer here is going to be, people are going to sit there and say x times x is x squared, and then 5 times 5 is 25, x squared plus 25, x squared plus 25, they are equal to each other, and therefore the answer is C. That's the most common error. That's the most common error. The second category of students who will pick the wrong answers are those who are a little bit higher level than these people, and they're saying to themselves, they're clever enough to realize that we're missing the midterms. There is a midterm in there. X plus 5 and x plus 5, and this is how we're supposed to multiply. X times x is x squared, x times 5 is 5x, and then we're supposed to do the same thing with the second quantity. 5 times x is 5x, and 5 times 5 is 25. So the midterm that I'm talking about is this one, which is x squared plus x squared plus 10x plus 25. And in the second column we have x squared plus 25. So if you subtract the quantity x squared from both columns, which we can do obviously. If I ask you which quantity is bigger, 17 plus 3 or 21 plus 3, you could actually do 17 plus 3, 20, 21 plus 3 is 24, and then tell me 24 is bigger than 20, but that wasn't the point here. These are not called quantitative computation. These questions are called quantitative comparison. Your job is simply to compare the two quantities, not compute the bloody thing. So here, if you're simply comparing them, you should realize that 3 appears here, 3 appears here. If you subtract 3 from both columns, you're basically comparing 17 versus 21. The same thing is going on here. So we have a quantity x squared here and x squared here. If you subtract x squared from both columns, it drops out. You also notice that if we subtract 25 from both columns, it drops out. So here we're left with 10x, and here we're left with what? Nothing. 0. And then the second category of people that I'm talking about, they would sit there and reason that 10 times some quantity x, 10x, has to be more than 0. Therefore, they would pick A for the answer. And this answer is also wrong. The people who pick answer C obviously is also wrong. So what is the correct answer here? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it here. So basically what we're comparing here are these two quantities. 10x versus 0. Which quantity is bigger? 10x versus 0. Well, it depends. If x is positive, if x is more than 1, rather more than 0, if x is positive, then 10x is going to be more than 0. And in that case the answer is going to be A. If x happens to be equal to 0, we do not know. They do not say anything, they do not tell you anything at all about x, so we have no way of knowing what x is. It could be positive, it could be negative, it could be 0, it could be fraction, it could be anything. If x happens to be 0, then 10x is going to be equal to 0, in which case the answer would have been C. Answer would have been C. If x is negative, if x happens to be negative, then 10 times some negative number is going to be less than 0. 10 times negative 4 is less than 0, in which case the answer would have been B. As you can see, it depends on what x is, and since we know nothing about x, we cannot tell which quantity is bigger, and therefore the correct answer for this problem is, D. D means it cannot be determined. And that was it. It cannot be determined is the right answer. The most popular wrong answer I told you is C. The second most popular wrong answer is going to be A, for those people who are quick enough to realize that we have a midterm here, which these people forgot. They have a midterm here, 10x, and then they said to themselves, well, 10x has got to be more than 0, because we are multiplying it by 10. Well, but you're multiplying it by 10, but what is it that you're multiplying by 10? Are you multiplying 10 by 0, or 10 by a negative number, or by a positive number? It will depend on how it compares that final quantity to 0. And if you're multiplying it by a positive number, then 10 times some positive number is going to be more than 0. If you're multiplying 10 by 0, then 10 times 0 is going to be same as 0. If you're multiplying 10 by a negative number, then 10 times some negative number is going to be less than 0. Answer is D. That's all. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found it helpful. If you wish to get hold of me for personal private tutoring, I tutor over the internet via Skype, and obviously in person and over the telephone for GRE, GMAT, SAT and TOEFL. You can go to any of these website addresses and send me an email from there, or you can go to kashwaniprep.com and send me an email from there. Alright, thanks.